Hey, this is Bree back with another episode of baking. We are going to be baking a pumpkin cheesecake. I personally don't like cheesecake and it sounded very delicious. So we are first going to start off with a graham cracker crust. I do have the Kroger graham cracker crumbs just so I didn't have to crush any. So we're going to start off with 1.5 cups in a small bowl. All right, and then we are going to add half a teaspoon of cinnamon to our graham cracker. I personally like cinnamon, so I'll overdo the cinnamon sometimes. And then we're gonna add 1 tablespoon of sugar. And then over here, I don't know if you see, but I am in the midst of making some sourdough bread. This one's named Sabrina Carpenter. This one's name is Doja Cat. I do have 6 tablespoons of butter here, and we are just going to melt that for approximately 30 to 45 seconds. That is why I put it in cubes. All right, so I got my 6 tablespoons of butter melted, and I am just going to pour that into my bowl of crushed graham crackers. So far, this is what it's looking like. So this is what it should look like. So when you crush it down, it can get smooth, just like a crust should be. So I am going to add just a little bit of 100% raw and pure honey in here. I'm going to add approximately, I would say, a teaspoon in there, just to not overpower anything. And maybe I will add just a little bit of pumpkin pie spice. I also got the Kroger brand of this since Kroger is pretty good. I don't want to overpower, so I'm just going to add like a pinch of it in there. Make sure you mix it pretty good, just to ensure that everything is all blended together, that the honey isn't in a random spot. Start on the middle with the dog hair in the bowl. All right, so first thing I'm going to do is add 1.5 cups of lightly packed brown sugar. I am using a half a cup. Okay, and then I do have Libby's 100% pure pumpkin puree. We're just going to open that up so that we can put that inside of our mix. Thank goodness for that magnet on there. And then we're just going to add 15 ounces of this Libby's in here. She's going to smell it because I said it fucking stinks.
It smells good.
Ew.
Smells like pumpkin pie.
Something's wrong with you. All right. And then we are going to add 24 ounces of cream cheese. This is approximately 8 ounces since my other container is a 16 ounce, and we'll just add that entire thing in there. There's that. And then this cream cheese does have to be room temperature. I am not going to bullshit. Mine is not room temperature. Should be fine. Okay, now that my 24 ounces of cream cheese is in here, then we're going to add 4 large eggs. Luckily, these don't have to be room temperature because room temperature eggs are disgusting. Now that my 4 eggs are cracked in this bowl, I am going to add about 1/4 cup of sour cream in here. Maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less. I do believe that is a little bit over 1/4 cup, and that's okay. And then we're going to add 2 tablespoons of butter in here. I'm going to add a little bit less because that will also soften out the cheesecake. Oh, I meant flour. We're gonna add 2 tablespoons of flour in here, and then 1.5 teaspoons of pumpkin pie spice. Okay, and this is a half teaspoon, so I'm gonna add 3 of these in here. Okay, and then I am going to add about a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, which is just gonna be half of the half teaspoon for me. And then I am going to add a whole tablespoon of pure vanilla extract. And that is all for the ingredients inside of the cheesecake, but you can add whatever you would like to it. I am going to add a few drops of lemon, approximately 5 drops of lemon in there, just to give it a little tang. I'm also just going to mix this up. I was deciding if I wanted to whisk it or use my little baby spatula, and I decided to use my little baby spatula. I don't like how the eggs look in here. But I will be back when it is completely mixed. So now that we are done mixing it, it is okay if there is like a little bit of cream cheese chunks, sour cream chunks, something like that in here. I'm not 100% sure what it is. They're both white substances. I do have a little bit of chunks in here because I don't have an electric mixer, and that is totally fine. So now we are going to preheat our oven to 350. I already did that. And then we are going to line our cheesecake pan. I do have one of these fancy ones that unhook and then the cheesecake falls out of the bottom when it's all done. We are going to put our graham cracker chunks in there. Make sure you wash your hands before you do this because I'm about to go all in. Now that I do have one of my cups, I am able to flatten this out a little bit better than what my hand could do. Except for the edges, I can do the edges with my hand. That is totally fine. I have never made a cheesecake before, so we are both going to see how this turns out. I'm quite nervous because I feel like I'm already doing it incorrectly. But it is okay. Now that this graham cracker crust is set in here, I do have to throw it in the oven for approximately 8 minutes for the graham cracker crumb to set. And then we gotta cool it at room temperature. And then we will put our pumpkin cheesecake filling in there. So I will be back when I do have all those steps completed. Alright, so now that some time has elapsed and my graham cracker crumbs had enough time to set, we are going to pour in our pumpkin cheesecake. I definitely poured that in a bit aggressively. Now that our pumpkin cheesecake is in here, we are going to pat it on the counter for about 15 times, just to ensure that all the air bubbles are out. And then we are going to preheat our oven to 325. And we are going to throw this in the oven for about 50 to 60 minutes. And I'll see you when it is done. Alright, so I am back the next day. I did put this in the oven. I also refrigerated it because it's cheesecake. It's supposed to get refrigerated. Mine did split, and that's totally fine. I am going to make my cinnamon roll frosting for this situation going on. So I am going to put in a whole stick of butter, half a block of cream cheese. I'm just going to cut this open since it's easier just to do that. And squeeze it in there. And then I am going to put in a little bit of lemon, approximately 3 drops, just to give it a little bit of tang. I am also going to put in a little bit of pumpkin pie seasoning, just a little bit, since this can get overpowering. I'd say approximately a 1/4 teaspoon. A little bit of vanilla. I put in a splash. A little bit of cinnamon. Make sure you do it grated side because I almost did not. Hello. And then I am going to dye it green, just that our pumpkin cheesecake can look more like a pumpkin. And then we're going to grab the powdered sugar. Alright, we're going to mix that in and see where it goes. We're just going to set those to the side. Alright, now that I do have my different tool, I'm just going to stir this in efficiently. And my cream cheese and butter was both room temperature, so make sure that it is room temperature. Oh yeah, that's a lot better. My food coloring is also organic, so there's no like red 40 or blue 4, whatever it's called. whatever all the weird numbers are. I'm not going to add more powdered sugar, but I am going to add an extra splash of vanilla into the bowl. And then here it is so far. And I think I am going to add a little bit extra green in here as well, because it really does look like guacamole. I could actually add like 2 extra drops of lemon, because I did put a little bit extra vanilla in here. So just to balance it out. And then just need a little bit more. And then I think what I am going to do is I'm going to put this in a piping bag. And I think I'm just going to do a border and then do some in the middle, just so that it is quite pretty, even though it's going to get demolished. Okay. So I put food dye in here. It is all natural food dye. I made mine a little bit grayer than I wanted to, but it's okay. I put some to the side in regard to that, but I am going to put a thin layer of icing on here. I do want to save at least a little bit in here to try to make a black. Maybe, because it'll dye people's teeth. That'll be funny. What did you eat today? Just some pumpkin cheesecake. Alright, so now I'm just going to put a border on here. Hopefully I can make the border pretty okay. And then I have enough icing to do this in here. I'm going to make a face on here. Alright, so I'm back with my brownish, purplish color that I was able to mix up. And I am going to put a little pumpkin face on here, which would be really cute and exciting. So I think I'm going to go in with 2 triangles for the eyes and a squiggly mouth. And this is what it looks like when it is all finished and completed. I hope this was a very easy tutorial, and hopefully the family will like this one. I have never made cheesecake before, so we will see. Thank you so much, and don't forget to subscribe.